Hey everyone, Disappointed Giant here. So welcome to part 2 of the Cursed Run series, which hopefully this is only 2 videos. I mentioned in the last video, which I built as a Damn Vigor showcase, which I'll put a link to it below in the description. But I mentioned that I've been really feeling cursed runs. We did a bunch of runs in Discord. Actually had 4 runs. So the one I posted was run number 2, and I'm starting this video. This is going to be run number 4, if you're keeping track. This video is going to be run number 4. It is a full run, but before I wanted to showcase it, I wanted to put my 2 depths from runs 1 and 3 up here. So as you can see here, we got ourselves a cursed sword, literal cursed sword run. Going to be using Damned Vigor and Demon Strength. I have a huge number of curse, so my power is super strong. And I'm also using a legendary anathema that I just picked up. And when you're playing, listen, it's not that good, but if you're playing Demon Strength and you have a million curse and you're already in the hole with it, it's actually not that bad. You'll see that I'm doing some good damage. I think I knock a couple enemies out of the sky with it or whatever. But I wanted to show my death from this run. But before I really get into more of it, I just want to warn people. So the second death in this video does have this. There it is. Knocked him out of the air. Second death in this video, which is coming up after this, does have 5BC spoiler boss in it. And the outfit that I use for the entirety of the run that this will be showcasing is a spoiler outfit. So I just wanted to put that ahead here first. If you haven't completed 5BC, you haven't seen the 5BC boss, and you don't want to be spoiled by any outfits that relate to that experience, I recommend just maybe watching this first step and clicking off as soon as you can, and maybe coming back after you finish 5BC. But if you have finished 5BC or you don't care about spoilers, this video is fine. You'll be fine with it. You just do whatever, right? But I wanted to put that in at the very beginning to and I'll put it probably in the title and the description too, but I just wanted people to avoid spoilers, since this is not technically a normal spoiled run until we get to the end. So all right, so I took Fractured Shrines because we were in the chat. Kayla was in the Discord when I was streaming, and they're like, hey, and I was like, yo, I'm gonna take shrines. So I used the trap to get rid of the cold-blooded guardian there, getting a little bit arrogant, and I'm just shooting my anathema, and I'm at a point where I am feeling very comfortable, and that's where the terror that's where the mistakes happen. So right here, I hit the trap, boom, Damn Vigor kicks, and then I have nothing to do. So there we are. So that was the death from the first run, and as I mentioned, there's like a little bit of intro here, thankfully. This is a 5BC boss coming up, so definitely do not watch this if you're not up for it. But here is the second death from run number 3. So this is the 5BC boss. You may know him as the dude who cashes in your cells for good stuff. But I'm fighting the collector here, and I think I still have the cursed sword, or am I? No, so I have blood swords. This is another run where I was looking for a cursed sword, and I couldn't get it. So any hit, I don't have Damn Vigor, any hit I take is going to end the run. I'm using Tainted Flask here to get an insane amount of damage. As you can see with my cleaver, knife dance, I'm really chunking here, so we're going to get the third hit. Okay, so here's what we're doing. So we're going up into the final phase. I'm going to throw the cleaver down, and I'm going to try to get that potion to pop. But what happens afterwards is the 1, 2, dodge all these, 1, 2, 3. Where it pops is it pops in the corner. So as you can see here, I'm trying to avoid that attack. The thing goes in the corner, and now I'm stuck here, and I'm saying, all right, I need to get this potion. I grab it here, but then there's more laser attacks, and I get tagged number 2. So I made it all the way through another run, all the way to the end, literally all the way to the end, and then I end up taking a loss, take a big L there. So that was the first 2 deaths. Like I said, I mentioned it in the first video, and I just wanted to showcase them here so that way we could kind of see where I ended up. If you're keeping track, not keeping track of the amount of times Damn Vigor kicked, but if you're keeping track of my lost runs, that is 3. But like I said, number 4 here is going to take it. And what I did for this is every time I died, I would use the outfit of what killed me. So the first video, so I lost a Hand of the King. Excuse me. So the first run was the Fractured Shrines run that I showed at the beginning. I lost to that, so then I wore the cursed head outfit. I got beat by Hand of the King, so I wore the flawless Hand of the King in the golden, the flawless torch head or whatever it is, and then the collector beat me the last video, so I'm wearing the full collector outfit, which is, that's such a sick outfit. It's so good, right? It's so good. So that's it. So I think I quickly, hopefully, explained the reason why I showed those two deaths before we get into this actual run. So that's what happened, and here we are. So again, this was the fourth run on the same day. Like I had mentioned in the previous video, if you've seen it, maybe if you haven't, whatever. I was streaming on Discord with who was there? It was like Kaler, Kiwi, Aska. There was a handful of us in there, and I got bit by the bug from the cursed sword bug, so I just kept streaming. So this was actually the fourth run in a row. This was the fourth run in a row that I streamed, and they were long too. So like the Hand of the King one that I just posted, the Damn Vigor showcase there. That one was like whatever real time, 45 minutes, an hour or something. The one that I just died was like an hour real time, and this one's an hour real time. So I was just like, I was cranking. And like I mentioned in the last video, I was hungry. I was so hungry for a cursed sword win. So similar to the third death, the collector death that I just showed, I do not find a cursed sword in this run. So the meme here is you gotta, Kaler was like, you gotta lean into the meme. So I leaned into it as hard as I could. So I did not find a cursed sword, but I still played as if I had a cursed sword. So we'll get to some of the mechanics. They're very similar. Very similar to the last video that I uploaded. I mean, the main difference here is that I do not use a cursed sword, so there's a little bit of different gameplay. I think I grabbed Valmont's whip and maybe machete and pistol, and a couple of really, a couple of fun things happen later in the run. Like I said, we'll get to it when we get there, but yeah, so this is very similar to last run, but again, this is kind of like part 2 of an unintentional part 2 series, so I want to make sure I got these both recorded within the same time frame, so that way the vibe was still there instead of waiting another week or two to kind of get the commentary on this. But yeah, so here we are. Welcome to the not cursed sword run without a cursed sword. So we're gonna roll. We're gonna rock here. So I don't know if I've said this yet, but I hope you're doing well. As always, thanks for tuning in. Get ready to buckle up for for another long. How much more time we have in this? Yeah, it's like another hour from here. So buckle up. Like I said, this was a really cool run. It was a ton of fun. But first off, just wanted to say thank you for being here. I appreciate you coming and hanging out, spending the time watching the video, and even if you skip around or just watch the first 2 minutes or whatever, appreciate you being here. It means a lot. I mentioned in the previous video just about connection and how important it is, and I just want to make sure I took a time to say what's up and thank you for being here. So okay, so here we go. So I've picked up my scroll. What do I got for an amulet? I got a tactics and a survival on my amulet. I don't have 2 reds, which is what I'm building towards. I already took the 2 brutality scrolls, and I did not get 2 of the other color, so that way I am not going to be able to do scroll manipulation, so I'm just kind of winging it here. But I'm trying to figure out which route to take. And do I take sewers here? I think I do. I can't remember which route. Yeah, so I take sewers here. I think at this point in the day I had already gone to prom, and I had already gone to, I think I went to Arboretum twice, so wanted to take a different route, wanted to go through the sewers here. But the way that this run pans out, I'm fairly sure that I continue to pick up the brutality scrolls, because that's the vibe, that's the color that we're going with. But I do not think that I actually get I don't think I actually get a brutality weapon until we hit the corrupted prison. So if memory serves, we're going to be going through the sewers here with a off color, well, it's on color, but I won't have any scrolls in it, off color ice crossbow. So the good news is we make it through. But yeah, I remember playing this and I was just like, listen, I'm committing here. Like, I couldn't afford or didn't find a weapon in the first shop, and I was like, oh hey, in the prisoner's quarters I should say, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll grab something in the kill door, which I didn't. Maybe I'll grab something from the shop in the sewers, which I didn't. So we're gonna be a little bit A little bit underpowered here, but it's all good because Ice Crossbow, man, Ice Crossbow is really good, in my opinion. So bosses 50-50 depending on who you're fighting. But as far as biomes go, I think Ice Crossbow is super, super strong. You get it from Timekeeper. I think it might be like 5th or 6th kill. I don't remember exactly what it is, but you'll eventually get it from the Timekeeper if you don't have it yet. And it's great. So out of all of the two-handed crossbows that they have, so we have this, we have Repeater, Explosive, and Heavy Crossbow. This one's my favorite. Heavy Crossbow has a lot of high damage potential, but it's slower, so it takes a little bit more time to get those arrows out. And the secondary for it is it reloads to have you do extra damage, and that's fine, but it's almost like the secondary skill, like the, so you can see here my Ice Crossbow, the square icon is the crossbow, the triangle icon is that white sort of arrow thing, like ice arrow, whatever you want to call it. That here, this is perfect. So you can see that there's the Ice Crossbow and the piercing shot. So one button corresponds to each of those. With the Heavy Crossbow, the secondary slot is just a reload. What's interesting about it is that it does give you a little bit of damage reduction. So the higher gear level, you're gonna be getting 7, 8, 9% damage reduction if you use it. But all it does is reload, so that way all of the shots do crits and you do more damage. And the crits are notable. I don't know. I don't have the wiki open, so I'm not sure what the exact percentage is. But it is a decent percentage. But I feel like the secondary slot is not as useful as the other ones, right? But it's still, like I said, it's very strong, especially if you go tactics with it, because they're all tactics survival. If you go tactics with it and you take like point blank, all of those little arrows are going to be hitting it, in rapid succession. You're going to be getting an extra 35, 40, 55, however many scrolls you have. You're going to be getting that extra percentage out of point blank. In addition, since all of the arrows are individual projectiles, you're not going to hit the boss damage cap with it. So boss damage cap, I think, is 15% for most bosses. So if you get up close, you'll be able to do some big chunks. So that's cool, right? But the other crossbows, Repeater Crossbow, I feel it's so funny. I'm like, here's a cursed sword run, but let me spend 10 minutes talking about crossbows. But just the vibe. That's just how I operate, That's how I roll. So then another crossbow, we get Repeater Crossbow. And I don't think I take this. Yeah, at this point, I'm not even taking health scrolls because I'm like, I want that. I want that cursed experience. I don't need any health. Repeater Crossbow, the secondary item or the secondary slot, throws, it's basically like a net of arrows that roots enemies. And the main button, the main attack, will crit enemies that are rooted. So that's like a nice little synergy there. A little bit similar to what I was just saying as far as the secondary attack being more of a preparatory, whatever the right word is. It's more like the secondary attack prepares for the first attack, but unlike the Heavy Crossbow, the secondary attack on the Repeater will root enemies even if you're not able to use your main attack on them, so it has a little bit of crowd control. So I feel like that's a stronger secondary attack. And then the third one, Explosive Crossbow, is a ton of fun. The main attack is just a giant missile that shoots out, explodes, does a nice little AoE damage. It's a little slow, so it's kind of chunky as you start to get it out. And then the second attack is hilarious. It's I forget what it's actually called. I forget what the name of it is. I'm not going to think of it, but it's almost like a very fast-paced first hit from a rhythm and bazooki. You just slam that melee attack down. So you have the option of shooting the enemy with this really strong explosive bullet, arrow, bullet, whatever. Or you have the option of hitting the enemy with your melee attack, but the synergy there is that the melee attack will push the enemy back. So that way you have a little bit more space and a little bit more time to get that first shot off. So that's really great. And now back to the original topic, Ice Crossbow. So Ice Crossbow, here we go. Left attack freezes the enemy, and the right attack will shoot a piercing arrow. It's a piercing bolt that does crits on enemies that are frozen. So in a biome, like you can see here, it's doing even at a lower scroll count, it's doing really good work. As it said, the main attack, or not the main attack, the piercing shot there, as you can see, it pierces enemy. Obviously, it pierces enemies. It's in the name. But it goes through enemies, and what's great about it, just in general, like you can see here, really good crowd control. If you look at the left icon on the ice crossbow, you'll see that there's an ammo count, but the ammo count on this is really high, so it's very rare, unless you're fighting a boss or something with it, it's rare that you're going to run out of your freezing arrows. So that's just going to be something you pretty much always have in your pocket. But what's great about the piercing shot is that it's easy. It's so easy because it's just like a regular... It's a regular item, so it doesn't really have affixes. How do I say this? It's an attack that does freezing damage and benefits from freezing damage, but it is not excluded from freezing affixes, right? So it's very similar to like Oiled Sword, where Oiled Sword's crit conditions are based on enemies being on fire. You can get +% to burning on that. You can get +% to burning oil, which makes it very strong in those situations. But there are other items, so like Torch, Firebrands, Vampire Killer. That class of items is a burning item, so you cannot get burning affixes on that. So even though this is a item that uses ice as its main mechanic, it can still get freezing affixes on it. So what I have here on the piercing shot, one of the affixes is that it will freeze nearby enemies when they die. So what's great is there you can see those little white circles of ice that come out. I mean, you'll see it again right. Let's see, right there. You'll see it probably right there. So, oh no, I used powerful grenade. That wasn't where it is, but that small little white AOE of ice will freeze nearby enemies, so you can then hit them with a piercing shot to get that crit to go through the enemies without needing to use your main ice crossbow, like the main shot. So as I said 3 hours ago when I first started talking, it's a great item. Again, it's my favorite of all the two-handed crossbows. It's my favorite, and that's mostly for biome clears. So if you grab this, you can grab it on survival, you can grab it on tactics, whatever suits your play style more comfortably, right? So you can take the aforementioned point blank. If you have turrets, you can use support. If you're taking survival, you can roll with whatever you want, right? Soldier's resistance, necro, gastronomy, if you have armadillo pack, doesn't matter. So whatever play style fits your vibe, you can take this either purple or green. But it's great. It's such a great biome clearer. So even though, again, I haven't even touched a brutality item. Yeah, I haven't, except for the secondary item. So at some point I got a free Telluric Shock in my right skill. I got a powerful grenade. I think it might have been either out of that chest or out of the item room. So I've gotten some good secondary brutality items, but I haven't gotten a main. But you can see even at a deficit here, right? Even with my scroll count at a clear deficit. What am I doing? Oh, I think I went to pick up that scroll by instinct. Then I was like, wait a second, I don't need that. But even as you can see, even at a deficit, did really good work. I got 60 in here, and it was fine. So I remember when I was rolling into Corrupted Prison, I'm thinking, oh, there's got to be a brutality item in here. And then it's like, nope. 3 nopes, right? So I'm not, so I grabbed the amulet just because it has the extra brutality scroll in there, of course. And I'm not like worried, but I remember when I was talking to folks, I was like, all right, we're going to get something out of it. We're going to get something out of the chest. It's going to be fine. We'll figure it out. I think here I might actually take Predator. Yeah, so I don't even have a melee item yet. I don't have and I'm like, we're going to get one. It's going to be totally fine. We got Predator. We got Damn Vigor, which is going to save me in the event of a death. That's a mutation on the left. And I think I pull a Fire Blast. Yeah, so I pull a Fire Blast out of here. So at least at this point, it's like, all right, dude. Like, I kept my shield in the backpack. I have a red item. I have 2 red skills. So although Predator right now is technically useless, even though it's technically useless, I'm still like, I feel like I'm on a good path. I feel like I'm gonna make it work, right? So Excuse me. So I get hit by that cursor's projectile. So I went from 2 curse up to, or 3 curse, I think. I went from 3 up to 8. That enemy, I'm in a curse biome right now, so there's like 3. There's another one. There's like 3 different enemies here that can cause curse. That's one of them. So it knocked me up to 5 curse, like that right there. So that little skull, you want to avoid it. That little dude, the sore loser, the little purple thing that was popping around there. If you kill that, you get 3 extra curse. So you'll see that my curse number has fluctuated a little bit, right? So I went from having 10 down to 3, up to 8, down to 1, up to 3. So like it kind of shifts, but that's sort of like the nature. That's the nature of the curse biome here. But yeah, as I was saying, I was feeling confident enough where I was like, don't worry guys, like I'll get a melee thing. I'll find a cursed sword. We'll figure it out. And then here, this is great. So I don't remember if I actually grabbed something here or not. I think about there it is. I was like, I would think about the machete and pistol. But there it is, right? So we're good. So we're back on track here. Well, it's not like we're back on track. We were never on track. We were not on track in this run. So at this point, I should say that I am finally on track. So mutations check out. So we got Predator. Like I said earlier in the video, this is going to be a very similar build to, at least mutation wise, to what I carried in my Cursed Sword video from the last one. Yeah, Cursed Sword video. The Vigor Showcase, whatever it is. So it's going to be very similar mutation wise. Gameplay is going to be different. And I think I pumped myself up with the Curse Flask, Demon Strength. I think I do that after the first boss, maybe. I think so. The runs do, like the ending of the runs are legit. I remember the difference in the endings, but I don't remember like specifically what bosses I did what at. I think here, I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to remember, like I'm hearing people's voices in my head as I'm thinking about this. And I'm pretty sure Kayla was like, do not, I think I go Ramparts, and Kayla was like, do not go to Conjunct again. For the love of God, please just go to Concierge. So I think that might be it. But yeah, so Predator, I went about it at length in the last video, so I won't go super deep again, but basically it will give you, like you can see there, it gives me invisibility for up to 2.8 seconds for every melee kill. Quick little piece of strategy. I learned this from Daniel. Daniel's son. If you kill one of those sore losers, the little purple dudes, if you kill a sore loser with a grenade, it does not trigger the curse mechanic. So you won't get cursed if you kill him like that. So it's got to. I forget exactly what the term is. I think Vord was saying. So I forget what they were saying about it. But there's something about the way that the damage is categorized where it's not technically quote unquote direct damage. So that way it does not doesn't kill the sore loser in a way where it's going to trigger the triple curse. So that's it. So we got through Corrupted Prison. I decided to take Cursed Ramparts. I think I mentioned this in the last video. Originally, these streams started being like, hey, I'm going to go routes where I can get blueprints. And I think there's still a part of that here. And I can't remember if I was going in here to say like, hey, I'm going to try to grab Spite Sword, or I was just saying like, yo, this biome's cursed. I want to take it. I'm not quite sure, but here we are. So going into Cursed Ramparts, I don't know. I think it might have been Modesto. Somebody was like, yeah, Ramparts is kind of kind of cringe or whatever they said. I love Ramparts. I love it. I love the music. I love the vibe. I love that feeling where like, you kind of like make your way, at least in this path, you make your way through the sewers, go through the Corrupted Prison, then you go up all the way to the top of the castle. And like, I think that's really cool. I really enjoy it. So this is a great level. I had mentioned in the last video that Sepulcher is my favorite. Here I am 1 day later. I confirm at this point it is still my favorite. But Ramparts is, I don't know. I really like Ramparts. Sometimes I will skip, if I'm going prom, I will skip, or prom or Arboretum. I'll skip Prison Depths so I can come here. And often, like I just did, I'll bounce here out of Corrupted Prison. I like it. I don't think I know the scroll fragments are not as high of a count as you would get from the Ancient Sewers, but the fact that you know, you can use this to sort of round out your build. So I feel like, you know, at this point, we're 2 or 3 levels in, depending on whether you take the extra biome or not. You know, corrupted prison depths. We're 2 or 3 levels in, and at this point, you know, in my opinion, and like you can see, I did that. I got lucky, but like I knew what my build was going to be, and even though I didn't have all the pieces immediately, I built towards that. So at this point in the run, in my opinion, you should be at a point where you know what your build is starting to shape up as, right? So clearly at this point you've picked a color, right? Please don't stat spread. At this point you've picked a color, you're making your way through a couple, 2, 3 levels, but it's sort of like, all right, what does my build look like, and which boss is going to be better for that build? So, you know, we have Conjunct, which I fought in the last video. You know, depending on your comfortability, she has more moves. Her health bar generally takes a little bit longer to get down because of all the tentacle phases. Depending on what BC you're on, you're going to get either 2. I think in 1 BC or higher, you get 2 tentacle phases. I forgot about that. I just T-shocked right into the trap. I'm right into the pit. That's so funny. But if you're on 0 BC, I think you get 3 tentacle phases. And if you're on 1 BC or higher, you get 2. So that's, you know, Conjunct is a little bit more of a boss you get to plan around. And then Concierge is, you know, he's the quote-unquote tutorial boss, right? He's the first boss that most folks are going to fight. And that's, you know, he's more, he's a little slower for most of the part. You know, his attacks are not as varied as far as screen positioning and ads and, you know, having to worry about floating platforms. Like, there's a lot more stuff happening in the Conjunct fight that you don't need to worry about in the Concierge fight. So coming into Ramparts, it's like, all right, where do I want to go? Right? So like, what's the vibe here? Where do I feel more comfortable? And then also, as you're playing through this, like maybe you haven't gotten good dual color stats. Maybe your scrolls are a little bit lower, and then you can be like, all right, so where I'm at here, I got a challenge rift that I didn't actually do this. I'm just saying hypothetically, be like, all right, I got 2 challenge rifts and an extra curse chest, which means that I'm a little bit higher scrolled than normal. I'm enjoying my run. Like you're doing a run like this, I get a melee predator run, whatever it is. And you can say, okay, I really want to fight Concierge and then go to Stilt Village because Stilt has less scroll fragments. So it's a little bit, oh, and we get a bonus curse. That's right. What's up? So you can kind of plan things out. But at this point in the run, you should know where you're going to go. And that's, long story short, that's part of the reason why I really, really like Ramparts. In addition to the vibe, the music, the just like the overall visual style and everything. It's also great because this is the pivot point for some of my runs where, as I'm playing, I make the decision, all right, where do I want to go? Because you can take either Conjunct or Concierge, and that splits, right? So if I want to do Cavern, you know, I may take Conjunct to Graveyard to Cavern. If I want to do Clock Tower, I may do Stilt to Clock Tower. You know, the Fatal Falls DLC is accessible from Concierge, so maybe I'm going to go Fractured Shrines to Sepulcher to Timekeeper, right? But this is if you haven't gotten to that point in your build, this is like the pivot point. So Ramparts is, again, I know some people are just kind of like, I don't know, but I really, really enjoy Ramparts. So that's my vibe. But yeah, so I think in this video we do Concierge to, I think maybe Stilt, I want to say. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we do Stilt, and I'll explain that a little bit more if I'm remembering correctly when we get there. But yeah, so we're rolling. So just wrapping up the Ramparts here. So what I did, so you probably noticed in the Corrupted Prison, I bought the Machete and Pistol, which is a Curse of the Dead Gods crossover. You can get that free in the Everyone Is Here update. I think that was the Volume 1 update. So I think it's like the 3rd item that pops out in the Prisoner's Quarters. So if you're new-ish, well, I hope you're not newish because this outfit's a spoiler. But if you haven't gotten that item yet, just keep playing. It'll eventually pop up in the prisoners' quarters. But it's a really it's a very faithful item compared to Curse of the Dead Gods. You start that game off with, you know, two weapon slots. One of them's a machete, one of them's a pistol. And if you hit the machete twice and the pistol once, it almost is exactly the way it is here in Dead Cells. I absolutely love it. But a lot of folks are kind of like lukewarm on it. You know, one of the things that the item does, and I don't know, I'm actually not positive if it says it in the item description. What am I waiting for here? Why am I going back? Am I just doing like a precursory look for something? Oh, I think here I'm going to go to Conjunct. And I think somebody talked me out of it. I don't do Conjunct in this, do I? Back out, dude. Back out. Don't do it. Don't do it. Oh, I do Conjunct. Wow. Okay, so let's take back everything I said. I think the concierge run must have been that must have been a previous run. So apologies for all of the unintentional misdirection, right? But yeah, machete pistol. I really enjoy it. Like I said, a lot of folks are kind of like, yeah. So it doesn't actually say it. So the third attack, the first two of those machete the first two attacks are machete swings. The third attack is a pistol. The pistol bumps the enemy back. Let's see if it shows it again. There you go. So it doesn't say, it just says the pistol bumps enemies back. The third attack actually sets enemies on fire. So that is another thing where you can use that to get flames, to get, what do you call it? To get good synergy, plus 40 to burning, plus 100% to burning oil. But it's not part of the weapon description. So I don't know if a lot of folks actually are aware or know about it. But I like machete and pistol a lot. You can see it scales both with brutality and with tactics. And there are some items, oh, this is perfect. So there are some items that make sense why they're both red and purple. So my main item right now, we got Valmont's Whip. It crits enemies on the very tip of the whip. But the distance between you and that crit point is big enough or long enough to trigger your tranquility mutation if you have it. So it makes sense in a way. If you're playing tactics and you grab Valmont's Whip and you have tranquility, there's no other enemies around you, like you can pop that for an extra whatever. The first hit, the crits are going to do an extra 30-35%, like whatever it might be. And you can see here with bigger bosses like Conjunct, if I can actually line things up, there you go. The crits are like fairly decent, and it's a fun weapon. It's named after Johan Lauland, the composer for Dead Cells. His nickname is Valmont, so they named it Valmont's Whip after him. So that's a sweet little piece of trivia for incredibly musician. But machete pistol's great too. So it looks like what I'm doing here is I'm actually using the Valmont's Whip for Conjunct because she has a bigger hitbox and there's more room. Like here, you can see I'm kind of like rolling back and forth on the platforms, really trying to position myself to get those criticals at the tip of the whip there. And I'm using the machete and pistol against the tentacles because, as you can see there, it's like a little awkward to kind of position yourself for the crits. Yeah, and I'm not doing a ton of damage. I'm actually surprised. There we go. I was like, I'm surprised I haven't picked it back up. But since machete and pistol is a shorter range item, you know, parry, attack, like it's easier to get the tentacles out. So I'm actually using two mains here, and I decided to use a shield too because for me it's easier to parry the tentacles as they come out of the ground. Getting pretty tapped out here. Not doing great, but we get ourselves a win. And this is also cool. All right, so I'm kind of glad that happened because that shows that like there's you can put stuff in the backpack for your mutations, right? You get your Porky pack for attacks, Acrobata pack for ranged, Armadillo pack for your shields. But there are also situations like this where you can have something in your backpack that you may just want to have for a different situation, right? And this is a perfect thing where it's like Valmont's Whip for the further away attacks, and then machete and pistol for the closer attacks, right? So something to think about too, just to kind of get out of the Because I also feel like folks are kind of like, all right, well, I'm going to put this in my backpack in case I need it later, right? Oh, this is a double damage weapon that I want in a level or two. Let me put it in my backpack, whatever it is. But you can pop stuff out in the middle of a boss fight and just leave the secondary item on the ground like I did, pick it up when it's ready, and then, you know, shred the way you need to. So, all right, so here we are. We're hitting the gym, right? So I think there's creatine in those in those flasks. Beheaded's getting jacked up here. Okay, so what we're doing here, we grabbed Tainted Flask so I can heal continuously. We grabbed Emergency Triage so the heals are faster. And then we grabbed Curse Flask because you can heal infinitely. And every heal gives you 20 curse. So I'm just trying to crank through this as quickly as I can to get 1,000 curse. Is it crazy? Yes. It is completely irresponsible, completely crazy. But it's also the most powerful build that you can have. I'm going to take Demon Strength, which will give me the numbers. I'm going to have 130% extra damage on everything because that gives you 30% when you're cursed and then +2 for every 5 curse. And I think it goes up to 130 capped or whatever it is. So if I kill every single enemy in the game without dying, without losing the run, I will still have... I think I finished with like 600 and something enemies, so I went way overboard there, but the joke was having quad 4 numbers in your curse count for the game. So you pair that with Demon Strength, yeah, you are incredibly powerful. Daniel semi-recently finished the 5 BC boss rush. I can't remember if he did custom mode or not, but I mean, it doesn't really matter. I'm just trying to remember what items he used, but this was his build, right? So he did exactly this and went into the boss rush, got the flawlesses because he was doing so much damage that he just ripped right through everything. So, if you are interested in trying something completely reckless, here's the vibe. Well, it's not completely reckless. I'm going to say it's mostly reckless. So I went into details in the first video a lot about Damn Vigor. I'll talk about it now again, of course, in case you didn't have a chance to catch that or you're not interested. But what Damn Vigor does is it's basically disengagement, but way better for biomes. So it will prevent any death that you take. Curse death, regular death, doesn't matter. And what will happen is it will start to knock your health down to 1, and you have like 2 seconds to kill an enemy before you die. If you take a hit, you'll die, right? So let's say, like that's a perfect example. So if I have Damn Vigor right now, if I got trapped in that web of those little bugs that the graveyard zombie shot out there, the attacks hit multiple times, so I would lose Damn Vigor immediately, and then that second hit would get me, and that would be the end of it. So if you do use Damn Vigor and you die really quickly and you don't know why, that's probably it, right? So other things that can trigger that would be if you have an elite that has the red circle around it, if you have a shocker, which are the like Zelda, like the guardian looking things that are in ossuary and stuff, the ones that have the AoE around them. If you get hit by the corpulent zombies in Sepulcher, so the big mummies, attacks that hit you twice repeatedly are going to trigger Damned Vigor, and then you're done no matter what. But most attacks, you're going to have those 2 seconds to get back at the enemy that killed you, or have a chance to pop on another enemy and then take that enemy out. If that happens, you get revived, and as long as you have, I think it's as long as you have 2 HP or more, you'll be able to use Damn Vigor again. So unlike Disengagement, which only pops once per biome or once per boss, which I would, if you're fighting bosses and you're a little worried, I recommend Disengagement over Damn Vigor for sure. But unlike that pops once per biome, once per boss, you can trigger... saying it again, you can trigger Damn Vigor so your curse count is bigger. You can trigger it back to back, and you'll be able to survive. So Damn Vigor, OP, love it. Pair it with Predator, OP. Pair it with Demon Strength, Curse Flask, OP. It's all super good, right? And here's the thing, right? So a lot of us do not love Cursed Update. A lot of us do not love the cursed weapons. A lot of us do not love this new cursed mechanic where you're getting cursed all the time. But in some semblance of defense on this unfinished update, they do technically give you all of the pieces that you need to survive curses. So if you were to do a build like this where you crank yourself up with Curse Flask and you take Demon Strength, if you just take Damn Vigor, right? If you take Damn Vigor and Demon Strength without having 1,000 curses, like, you will have the ability. So if you get cursed, let's say all you do is you take Demon Strength, no crazy curse count. If you get cursed, which happens, as you saw it happen a few times in the Corrupted Prison there, when you're cursed, you're going to have 30% extra damage, which is going to help you get out of that curse. If you take just Damn Vigor and you get cursed by a cursed enemy and then you get tagged, like, you will have time to then get your revenge and not lose your run. And then the other thing too, and I feel like when it comes to Cursed Flask, which, as you saw, you can drink infinitely, and it gives you 20 curse. Well, I don't know if it caps out at 9999 or whatever, but you can drink it a ton. And also, can we please talk about how many traps, how many trap corridors I've hit in this? I have like 1 billion curse, and I feel like that's the 4th or 5th corridor where I was just like, I had to slow down and be like, oh my god, there's traps. But I feel like Cursed Flask on its own, like, it doesn't, unless you pair it with something, like, you could pair it with Emergency Triage, so every time you drink it, you get yourself a shield for a second and a half or whatever it is. You can take it with Tainted Flask, which will allow you to have, however much it is, depending on your scroll count, 60, 95, whatever percent extra damage for 20 seconds. But overall, even though the items are not they're not that great. The Anathema, which I kind of messed around with at the little beginning of this run. The Misery Chord, which is just awful. It's so undertuned that it's just not. It's basically impossible-ish to take without a build like this. But what's the other one called? Indulgence is cool. Indulgence is a cool skill. But anyways, the mutations from the update are there to help you succeed. So, not in defense of the mechanics. I guess maybe in a little bit of defense, but it's more just like, let's play devil's advocate for a second here, because if Evil Empire did not give us any way to mitigate all of this extra curse stuff, that would be painful. That would be super painful, but there are ways to do it. So they were thinking about some of that stuff to get go, from the get-go or whatever. So just a thought, right? And one of the things that I recommend in general is, if you're going into Corrupted Prison or Prison Depths, or if you're taking curses and stuff, I recommend taking Damn Vigor in general, even if it's, even just in general. And also, of course, if you're going into a curse biome, it's just so applicable. It's so applicable right across the board that it's really going to help. It's totally going to help. And, another thing, do I want to talk about this? How much time do we have left? Do I have enough time to talk about this? I have 36 minutes. That may be not enough time. No, I'm kidding. The other thing too, right? And part of the reason, I think, like, the part of the undercurrent as to why people don't love this new update, even though, like I said, there are some really, like, Damn Vigor is, I've already said it 1,000 times, Damn Vigor is so good. There are some decent things that come into the play, like the curse biomes give you extra item quality. If you take curse biome from prisoners quarters, you have the chance of getting a triple necklet in your stat, which is going to bump you up even more earlier, which will help you get through the optional biomes, etc. But the undercurrent for why this update is such a disappointment is because of just how fucked it is that Motion Twin decided to not allow Evil Empire to continue developing Dead Cells the way that they have been for 5 years prior to when this update came out. So they had a roadmap. Evil Empire had a roadmap. They were basically planning stuff through, I think it was 2026. Demetrius was talking a few days ago. Oh, there's Indulgence. Great. That's pretty sweet. Demetrius was talking a few days ago on the Discord and basically was saying how like the scroll system in Dead Cells has never really been changed, right? So, you know, the way that enemies used to scale with scrolls was very different back in 1.0. We're on 3.5 now. But the actual mechanics of the scrolls and being locked into certain color builds, like that never changed. And my understanding, if I'm remembering and interpreting this correctly, is that update 3.6 was going to be a player experience update. So think about some of the stuff that you may not love, right? So you may not love being shooed into a particular type of build. You may not love the scroll in the health system. There may be things about this game that you're playing like, hey, like I wish that this was differently because of X and Y, or I wish scrolls worked like this, or I wish there were no scrolls. Evil Empire did not have the chance to do this. Evil Empire did not have the chance to finish their updates, to finish their roadmap for Dead Cells, because Motion Twin suck. I'm sorry. Like I put a video out. It was last year. Whenever it was announced that development on Dead Cells was going to be finished. You know, I'm really glad about that video because I had put a lot of information about Evil Empire in and just sort of like cleared things up as far as like, hey, here's who actually developed Dead Cells. Like a lot of people are like Motion Twin, and like, yes, they created the game. They went through early access with it. And then after update 1.2, which was one where the 5BC boss and the giant came in, which I love both of those bosses. I love those biomes. Like they did some really good work back then. But Evil Empire took over in update 1.3 and that's it. So yes, there's all this stuff where Motion Twin has to, you know, they had to approve certain updates and, you know, everything kind of had to go through them. But Evil Empire was the one, they were behind the controls. They were the one who were designing things. They're the ones that decided to add they did all of the DLCs, every single DLC from the Castlevania all the way back to Bad Seed. They did Corrupted Prison. They added a ton of mutations. They balanced. They revamped the gold economy. They revamped shops. Like they did everything for this game for like 5 years. And again, a lot of this is speculation, and I did go into it a little bit in that video, but like a lot of time has passed, right? A lot of time has passed, and I understand that like this vibe, the vibe that I'm going to have here is different from my usual vibe because, you know, we're all complex people and there's a lot of different feelings. And as time has gone on and as things have changed, like I am just really not stoked. I'm not stoked about how this all went down. I'm not stoked about the lack of respect that Motion Twin has had for Evil Empire and to their fans, right? So and the thing is too, right? So we have Windblown coming out. I don't recommend it. I've only seen a couple people play it in early access. It does not, from what I've seen, and I was just watching Kayla play it literally, what time is it now? Like 2 or 3 hours ago. They were streaming it through the Discord. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. I think the actual graphics of the game are really interesting because Thomas Carduce, who's his nickname's Carduce. He's one of the original Motion Twin developers. You may notice that name. That might sound familiar because of the Carduce outfit. A lot of the purple colors and everything are his vibe. So you see some of that come out in Windblown. So that actually looks good. But the gameplay is not. It's not interesting to me. It's really not. You know, they have this whole thing about the speed of the game where you're moving really quickly and everything, but it's all an illusion. It's all smoke and mirrors, at least at this point in early access. The way it's structured, it's similar. I don't know. It's like a 3D isometric kind of thing. And the way it's structured is that there are all these like little islands between these big islands, and you can like dash repeatedly throughout the little islands, so it feels like you're moving really fast. But that is just there to give you the illusion that you're actually moving quickly, because when you get to the big islands and you actually have to play and fight enemies, it slows way down. And again, Windblown's in early access at this point. It could turn out to be a way better game than it is right now, whatever, but like what I understand, or at least from the assumptions / whatever from the community is that, once Windblown was starting to come out, Motion Twin decided to stop Dead Cells development, took the reins away from Evil Empire, which they could do legally based on whatever contracts they had or whatever the arrangement was. I just dodged that axe. That was really sick. So based on that, they took the development away from Evil Empire. In part, my understanding is to be able to continue to promote Windblown without competition. If Dead Cells is still alive and the team who puts out Windblown is advertising themselves as from the creators of Dead Cells, I'm assuming, or what I understand other folks are saying, is that would have cut into their sales, right? Because it's like, well, wait, this other game's still around. Like, why are you doing 2 games? And it's like, oh, instead of just being honest about it and saying, hey, we still own this franchise and we're working hand in hand with Evil Empire, we're doing Windblown. They're going to start doing Rogue Prince of Persia, but we're still finishing development. Up here, we're going to wrap things up in the next year by Windblown. Then that would have been sick. That would have been so sick. I would be so excited to try Windblown, even if it wasn't great off the bat. Try Windblown, try Rogue Prince of Persia, and support everybody, right? So why not just do that, right? Why not just be transparent, allow everybody the opportunity to do what they love, make these amazing games, and then work together. Just work together, right? Like, that's it. That's all it comes down to. And Motion Twin decided not to do that. So part of it, again, like I was saying about the update, part of it is that it's unfinished. What we're stuck with here is a beta of 3.5. It wasn't updated. It wasn't changed because the keys got taken out of Evil Empire's pockets. Motion Twin locked the door and just shrugged their shoulders and said, tough shit. We own Dead Cells and nothing you can do about it, right? So that's the underlying part of it. And again, like, I'm not going to apologize. I'm not going to apologize for my vibe, my attitude. Again, I really work hard to be transparent with everybody and to promote an environment of open communication where everyone's welcome. And like, if you play a certain way, you're not, who cares? If you like this weapon and someone else doesn't matter. If you like Distillery, you don't like Distillery, we'll talk about it. But at the end of the day, doesn't matter, right? But like, for me, this matters. This is like a bigger picture. And the other thing too is Motion Twin's team right now, it's like when you have a band and like almost everybody leaves, but like the drummer and the roadie and the person who designs the t-shirts are still part of that, quote unquote, still part of that band, and they're like advertising themselves as a band. So many people have left Motion Twin since Dead Cells was created that by saying from the creators of Dead Cells, all that means is that the studio is the same name. Like I mentioned, Thomas was there, Cardus, and again, no disrespect to him. He is an incredible artist. He has a great sense of color, of design. I respect him a ton. So it's not a slight on him. But like the other people that are there, I think it was like an admin assistant and someone else. So it's not the people that made Dead Cells. It's not Sebastian. It's not Deep Knight who did all of the. My understanding is a lot of like the actual programming, the particle effects, all that stuff. And he had some stuff to say about Motion Twin where I think it was him or somebody else was confronted them. It was like, hey, listen, like this is a big thing. Like the fans deserve. They're owed this to be finished. And my understanding, I don't have the screenshots. I don't remember exactly how it was phrased. It was in Reddit, but like basically someone from Motion Twin was like, we don't owe our fans anything. So for me, that's it. Super capped out. So really, really long. And this is, when I made my video on Evil Empire and the end of Dead Cells, like there's a lot of stuff I was feeling that I didn't say, like I said, because I didn't want to just be angry. I didn't want to shut anybody out. I wanted to provide information and education. But like at this point, I'm just like, I'm done. I'm done with Motion Twin. I don't care about Windblown. A lot of folks have been like, hey man, are you going to play Windblown? And I was like, yeah, I don't think so. I'd be interested in watching it or whatever, but like, I'm not interested. I'm really not. If someone's like, hey man, are you going to play Windblown? And we're like, no, I'm not playing it. I don't want to support Motion Twin. And that's like a long thing. Like, I will apologize to you because I've been talking about this for like 10 minutes. But something? Like, yeah, this is a cool run. This is a really cool run. I'm sure if you've been listening to this video, you've also probably been watching. Forgotten Sepulcher went great. I still have 770 curse stack. I'm beat the giant very quickly. I'm on my way to Hand of the King. But like, this is important information that I feel like needs to get out. And again, my original video of it was not as direct. Was not as direct. And I think if anything, you know, if I should be apologizing to anybody, you know, I should be apologizing to Matt and the other Evil Empire folks for not taking a bigger stand when all of this went down, because, you know, it's just not fair. And I will say, you know, I've had like a little bit of a, I don't know if ethical, it is ethical, you know, and I love the channel. I love Dead Cells. I love making these videos. But there's a part of me that is just realizing that, like, throughout all of the work that I've done through my channel to educate people on Dead Cells and spread the word, like, Motion Twin's making more money. And like, I don't love that. I don't love that, you know? So, I am gonna get off my soapbox now, but I just needed to say that we've been talking a lot about it in the Discord and in the voice channels and stuff recently. And it's just information that's important. It's information that's important. And again, we're playing an unfinished beta here, but Evil Empire, because they care, they did their best to give us the tools to be able to survive this new curse mechanic, right? And I'm going to stop here. If you made it, if you listened to that whole thing, again, you know, I know it's a different vibe from my usual, the way I usually speak and, you know, whatever, but like I have some really strong feelings that I had to get out. Speaking of strong, that was a rockin', that was a rockin' Hand of the King fight. So my last video in the Damn Vigor showcase, I had died to Hand of the King. This time I got through it. And I remember in VC, I think this was the point where Kaler was saying, let's go. I think Ask whoever else was in there was like, dude, you made it. You're getting your way through. So here we go. So go into 5BC territory. Oh my God. I'm so wound up. But I'm going to do my best for everyone. I've already committed to the first 50 minutes of this video. We gotta end strong. We gotta end strong here. So, Hand of the King fight went great. I'm gonna grab this cleaver because cleaver is a fantastic item to take into the 5BC boss. I love it. I've always loved cleaver, even when it was, especially when it was dual with tactics back in the day. Cleaver's super strong, and this one here, it does 2 stacks of bleed instead of 1, so that way your bleed pops quicker. It pops more quickly, so that way you're actually going to get more damage, more dot that way. From this point forward, 5BC biomes coming up. 5BC bosses coming up. Again, I gave a pretty big spoiler warning at the beginning of the video, but if you actually do not want to see that content, now's the time to we'll go our separate ways, and I'll see you when I see you. Thanks for listening to everything, but we're going into 5BC here. So, oh my goodness. Oh, wow. Wow. All right. I'm coming back. So, Astrolab. So, keeping the mutations that I had. So, I re-rolled my mutations. What did I take? I took combo. I think I took open wounds. I forget what I even though I was just watching the footage, I forget what I did. But what I did was I decided to go from the giant directly. Oh my goodness. Stressful librarian. I decided to go from giant directly to Hand of the King. You only get 2 scrolls of power when you do that, but the fact that I am currently doing 130% extra damage because of my curse stack, that extra couple scrolls, it doesn't matter, right? And I think that's another benefit too of if you do choose to kind of go down this path of curse sword, damn vigor, curse flask, demon strength. If you decide to like kind of like peek your head around that corner, because you're getting so much extra damage from the demon strength, that like you can afford to skip a biome here and there. Generally it's going to be the optional biome, so you know, cursed, what do you call it, corrupted prison depths. You can skip that. And here we go. So I'm looking real quick. So I'm looking at that cleaver. If you have a legendary item, you can have 2. I'm looking at that cleaver because I'm like, do I want to take double cleaver into the final boss? And I'm thinking, I'm like, I do. I'm like, but I have this skill right here, Lacerating Aura. It does great damage for small flying enemies, including the Librarians, which are the most tricky enemies in this level, I think. So I decided to come back. I said I'm going to come back for the cleaver. We'll figure that out when we figure it out. But what was I talking about? Oh yeah, so you can skip the optional biome. If you miss a scroll or two, like, you know, in my last video, I left Slumbering Sanctuary early. I missed a couple scrolls because I had enough extra power from this huge stack of curse, and demon strength. It just doesn't matter, right? You can just roll through with it. So, I decided to also save some money, which I don't even need. I got a ton of money here because I haven't really been buying stuff. But going from Giant straight to Hand of the King, it does save you a few bucks on a reroll. So instead of re-rolling, look how quick this is gone. Instead of re-rolling before Giant, re-rolling again going into the castle, re-rolling again before Hand of the King, and then re-rolling again before Astrolabe, and then re-rolling again before Collector, you can sort of like squeeze in a couple. You can save 2 of those re-rolls, so that might be, depending on where you are, it could be anywhere from 3,000 to 16,000 gold, right? So that's another benefit of taking the direct path from the Giant straight to Hand of the King, if you're going to be doing 5BC. So yeah, so here we are. So I think I know that right now I have an amulet where you'll see it will right there. It makes you invisible. There it is, perfect, top right hand corner. If you do not attack an enemy, you are invisible until you attack an enemy. And this also, boom, it counts for opening chests. It counts when you do a down slam. It counts if you roll through a door. That breaks your invisibility, but otherwise you can just walk through enemies. So at this point, you can see I took a curse, and I think I took 2 curses in the Sepulcher. So if that's the case, I've killed like 302 enemies, I think. I think I've killed 302 enemies since I got jacked up with demon strength. But I don't need to kill any more enemies. But here we are. I'm like, oh, I can just do whatever I need to. So I remember specifically, I was going for full clears, and Kayla was like, dude, please stop. Just, you have your invisibility necklace. Just go through everything. They're like, this is your 4th run. Like, for the love of God, DG, please finish the run. And I was like, all right, cool. I think Damn Vigor might proc. Yep, there it is. Boom. Life has been saved. Anxiety is spiking during the chat at this point. It was so funny, but Killer's just like, dude, just leave. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? You are correct. So I decide to leave. I'm like, let me get this cleaver. Oh, wait, do I wait until I don't get the cleaver yet? I go through the tower first, I think. Let's see. Maybe I do get the cleaver here. We'll see. I don't. It's really funny. It's good when I get the cleaver. I'll just say it's a very good cleaver when I pick it up. But, yeah, I think I kill a couple enemies here. And then I want to say I just move. And I think I'm going down here. Yeah, I was originally going down there to say, like, yo, I want to hit the food shop. There's no reason for me to go to the food shop. Unless I wanted to buy the cough syrup in order to get rid of a couple bars of malaise. There's no real reason for me to do it. So here's where I just start. As you can see, this invisibility necklace is so powerful. It trivializes the game. Again, if you use any sort of action, not action button, but if you use any sort of interaction, you recycle, like I said, you use a teleport, you open a chest, your invisibility gets broken. But from here, I can just keep moving, right? So I go through here. I think I kill. I don't. I just keep buzzing around. I just keep buzzing around, killing the nearby enemies until the invisibility procs, and then I just take it. Killing, like I said, those are close by. I have to get rid of them. And I think I do the same thing here. I just kind of wait, literally go right past these enemies, right past the birds, right past the bombers. And then, kill a couple of these enemies here just to make some space. And then once I get to the bottom here, I'm going to take the climb, and I'm not going to engage with anything. So if you find this amulet, so here's the downside to the amulet. So if you get this early, it feels really good, especially especially when you're early on in your run or you're early on in your Dead Cells journey or whatever, it's like you have this ability to just peace. That dude just totally peaced out. You have this ability to just skip by everything. So on paper, you're like, yeah, that's really cool. I don't have to worry about X, Y, and Z, whatever it is. But like you're missing out. You're missing out on the experience. But the other thing that you're missing out on is you're missing out on the economy. So you will get gold from every enemy you kill. You can get items from enemies that you kill. So it's sort of like you're missing out on a lot of that. So if you do get one of these amulets and you decide to do what I'm doing here, but you do it through the early game, if you upgrade your amulet or if something changes with your build or whatever it is, like you're going to be at a deficit. So I feel like it's a very good thing to use in certain situations. This is a more extreme what do you call it, version of this, but it's the perfect thing where I'm like, hey, I don't want to engage with anything. I would really, really like to finish a run after 4.5 or 5 hours of playing on stream. I'm like, I would really, really like this to be over. So I'm using that amulet to my advantage. And now the other thing, clearly with demon strength and all that stuff, I'm swole. I am swole enough to be able to finish this run without needing extra items or extra whatever it is. I don't need the money because I'm not really doing anything, but I'm like, hey, let me get this cleaver. So I'm like, I'm 100% positive, I want this cleaver. Boom, mimic, right? So Astrolab cursed mimic, and everyone was going nuts at this point. But I knew if I threw the cleaver down on the other side of that wall, it would try to attack me through the wall. I would have enough time to roll through that little space, right? Once I made my way over there, I was like, all right, here's what I can do. I can pop this here. I can roll through here. And because I'm so powerful and because mimics get weaker the later in the game that you are, they don't scale well. They're so hard early on. If you get a mimic in the Arboretum, like, good luck. Good luck if you make it through that. But here, as you saw, it got taken out really quickly. So I figured I could just do that, pop through, roll through, and then boom, there we go. So now we've made it this far. I vividly remember being anxious, and it was like that. Hands are starting to shake, like a little bit of like the stomach, kind of like little. I don't know if butterflies are the right word. Maybe like a nest of bees or something. I was starting to get nervous because I was like, I've made it to the end. 2 runs in a row. I have to do this, right? So I'm re-rolling here. I have amazing affixes, so both cleavers do extra damage, if I'm remembering correctly. Both do toxic clouds. Both obviously do bleeding. One of them gives me an extra 10% if I'm near it. And then my machete and pistol has bonus damage to bleeding and poison. So in Daniel's words, here's the build, right? So that's what I went with. But what I should have done here, looking back, is I took open wounds. I didn't need to. I have 2 cleavers here, so I would already get the synergy from both of those things. Again, extra poison, extra bleeding, the extra plus 10%. What I should have done is I should have taken Tainted Flask, which is going to give me plus 90 something at this point, plus 95% or whatever it is of extra damage for 20 seconds. I could have drank here, came into the beginning of this fight. This takes maybe whatever it is, if we're counting here, 8 or 9 seconds or whatever it is. And basically the move is to fight the collector, get his health down, and then when he drinks, you drink to keep your damage topped off. But I didn't do that here. I just took open wounds. I think it was nerves. Nerves was getting to me. So I'm like, all right, how good is this going to be? So come up here, do some parries, right? Got my entry level greed shield. I do another parry here, and then boom. So you can already see this damage is quite good. So I have 2 cleavers. I'm throwing 1 down. I'm getting the bleed. I'm getting the poison. And then I wait, and then I throw the next one down. So by the time that one of them, whenever I throw one down, I have another one waiting in the wings here. So we're coming into the last phase. We're coming to the last room. I think I might throw both of them down here. And then here we go. So this is the attack that finished my run. And I remember my hands were shaking right here. I was like, oh my God, please don't, right? Pop them, get the flask, boom, done. So right here, I remember leaning back. I was clapping. Folks in the voice channel were like super stoked. And I finished the run. So again, this is not a cursed sword run. I'm going to build this as a cursed swordless cursed sword run. But I finished the game with 687 curse. And similar to like I said in the last video, I know we're what do we got here? We're like another minute running out of time. This was not a showcase of quote unquote my abilities to be like, hey, look at this cool thing I can do. It was more like, hey, this run was super fun and I want to share it with people. So I hope this run was fun. I hope you experiment with some Curse Flask, Demon Strength, Curse Sword stuff, Damn Vigor, of course. Thank you for listening to my Evil Empire support rant. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you. All right. So, as always, thanks for watching and good luck out there.